Part 1. The girl in the window seat. A soft beginning, a quiet remembering. Good evening, love. Let your body sink into the warmth beneath you. Let your shoulders fall just a little. You've done enough for today. There is nowhere else you need to be. Let's go back now gently, like stepping barefoot into a memory that's been waiting for you. She used to sit there, didn't she? Pressed against the glass on long car rides, her cheek fogging the window with every exhale. Outside, telephone wires stitched the sky into long threads, and the clouds drifted like thoughts with no place to land. She didn't talk much on those drives. She just watched, not the road signs, not the miles but the in-betweens, the wilted flowers by the guardrails, the abandoned barns, the trees that stood alone and still somehow belonged. That girl, younger youth, she didn't ask for much, just a little peace, a little space to wander, a quiet kind of love. She didn't yet have the words for what she needed, but she felt the absence of it. Like a song she once knew the tune to, but had forgotten the words, and oh how tender she was. Tender in ways the world didn't always understand. She felt everything, too much they said, too soft, too slow, too dreamy. But let me tell you something, there is no such thing as too soft for this world. There is only not enough softness in return. So tonight, I want to sit beside her. I want to whisper, you were never too much. Your silence wasn't a failure. Your dreams weren't foolish. You were never meant to be loud, to be worthy. You were a story waiting to be heard. A poem in a world that wanted instruction manuals. A window seat girl who was learning how to carry the ache of being misunderstood. But here's the truth, little one. You made it through every mile, through every quiet ache, through the loneliness of being the one who saw beauty in places others missed. You made it. So tonight, rest. Let that girl lean her sleepy head against the glass one last time. Let her close her eyes. Let her feel, finally, that she is no longer alone. We're here now. We'll watch the stars together. No more questions, no more too much. Just peace. You are home. You are held, and it's safe now to sleep. 2. The day she stopped dancing when joy went quiet but never left. Take another deep breath, love. Tonight I want to take you back to a quiet moment you may not even remember. A moment so subtle, it slipped into your life like a shadow at dusk. There was a day without warning or thunder when you stopped dancing. Not on a stage or at a party, but barefoot in your bedroom, in the living room at dusk, in the kitchen when your favorite song played. You used to move like the world belonged to you, like joy had chosen you as its vessel. But something changed. Maybe someone made a comment. Maybe you overheard a laugh that wasn't meant kindly. Or maybe the weight of growing up pressed the music out of your bones. You didn't notice it at first. The silence crept in slowly, and the girl who used to dance with the rain learned to sit still. But hear me now, the music didn't leave you. It was only resting. Your joy was never broken, just buried beneath the noise, beneath expectations, beneath the long days and longer nights. And dancing, it was never about being good at it. It was about being free. So tonight, let that girl know she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't lose anything. Her joy is still here, in her heartbeat, in her breath, in the way her fingers tapped quietly on her pillow without realizing. Let her dance again tonight, even if only in her dreams. Let her remember that movement was her first language, that she doesn't need permission to feel light again. Let her close her eyes to the rhythm of her own becoming. She was made to move, and even now, even still, the music waits for her return. Sleep gently, dancer. Your joy remembers you, and it is ready to come home. Part 3. When the world felt too loud tonight, I want to walk with you into a hush. Not silence, but a hush. The kind that wraps around you like a woolen blanket. The kind that makes the chaos fade. Do you remember when everything felt too loud? The hallway at school, the dinner table full of voices that didn't wait their turn, the hum of expectations, the clang of comparison, the unspoken rules shouted in glances and grades. She wasn't made for all that noise, was she? She craved corners. She found refuge in closets and quiet rooms. She thought maybe she was broken, maybe she just couldn't handle life. But let me tell you a softer truth. She was never broken. She was simply built for depth. She listened so closely, she heard the world's heartbeat. She felt so much. The atmosphere itself left bruises, so she hid. She softened her step. She tried to be invisible. But tonight, we honor her, not for disappearing, but for surviving, for learning how to whisper in a shouting world. She never asked for fame. She just wanted peace, and she deserves it. So let's offer her a quiet meadow of rest, where nothing chases, where no one expects, where even the stars speak in lullabies. Let the hush hold her, let the stillness become her song. Let her know that quiet was never a flaw, it was her language all along. Sleep in softness now. The world can wait. She has come home to herself, and you can rest. Part 4, A Mirror in the Morning Light title. When the light falls upon the letter, the morning slipped in like a whispered apology. Through the sheer white curtains, sunlight spilled across the floor, slow and golden, softening the sharp edges of the silent house. Everything was still except for the faint tick-tock of the clock and the occasional creak of the old wooden floorboard, sounds that seemed unnaturally loud when one is alone. Clara stood by the window, both hands clenched around a chipped porcelain cup. The coffee inside had long gone cold, untouched. Her gaze was not on the garden outside, but on the small oak table in the corner of the room. On it lay a letter, creased, faded, yet still sealed. The handwriting on the envelope was unmistakably her mother's. 5 years had passed since the funeral. 5 years since Clara had packed her mother's belongings into neatly labeled boxes, each one a fragile archive of a woman she had loved yet never fully understood. But this letter had slipped between the pages of an old novel, forgotten until last night. She had placed it beneath the mirror before going to bed, unsure whether she had the strength to open it. Now, under the crystalline morning light, the mirror reflected her hesitation. The face looking back at her looked older, more tired than she remembered. Had grief aged her, or had the silence she wrapped around it? Clara drew a shaky breath and reached for the envelope. Her fingers brushed the paper as if it might crumble. Sunlight caught on her knuckles as she tore it open. There was only one sentence to greet her: "Please forgive me for all the things I never said." Her vision blurred, not because the words were unclear, but because they were too clear. And in that moment, the mirror caught something else, a quiet tear tracing a slow path down her cheek. Part 5. The girl who said yes too often. Come closer now. Let your breath settle. Let the edges of the day blur just a bit. We're going to visit her again, the younger you. The one who kept saying yes, not out of joy, not always, but because she thought she had to, because no felt dangerous, because disappointing someone else felt more painful than betraying herself. She said yes when she wanted to rest. She said yes when she didn't agree. She said yes when her heart whispered no so softly, even she barely heard it. But she paid for those yeses, didn't she? In exhaustion and resentment, in slowly forgetting her own voice. But here's what I want to say to her tonight. You are trying to be loved. You thought earning it meant giving yourself away, but love isn't supposed to cost your wholeness. You don't owe everyone your yes. You are not selfish for setting a boundary. You are not unkind for honoring your limits. You are not hard to love when you choose yourself. So tonight we give her something new, a safe, quiet no, a gentle hand placed over her heart saying, "This matters too. Your rest matters. Your truth matters. You matter." Let her hear that now. Let her exhale what she's held in for so long. Let her fall asleep without guilt tugging at her. She has nothing to prove here, only a heart to care for, and tonight it beats in peace. Sleep now, dear heart. Your no was never the end of love. Sometimes it's the very beginning. Part 6. The night she felt everything. Tonight we return to her, the one who used to lie awake in the dark, the one who felt too much. She was never good at pretending. When others laughed, she sometimes cried. When the world moved fast, she slowed down. She noticed everything: the tone that changed, the door that shut a little too hard, the silence that lasted too long. Some called her sensitive, as if that was something to fix. But here's what I see. She had a heart tuned to every hidden frequency of the world, a soul that could feel the rain before it fell, a spirit that trembled at both beauty and pain. And yes, there were nights it overwhelmed her. Nights she curled up, arms around her knees, wondering why it all hurt so deeply, wondering if she'd ever stop feeling like too much in a world that applauded the unbothered. But oh, how rare she was to feel this deeply. Is not weakness, it is music. It is color in a grayscale world. It is the ache that reminds you you are alive. So tonight let's honor her, not silence her, not toughen her up. Just let her be. Let her cry if she needs. Let her feel it all, the joy, the longing, the ache, the beauty. And let her fall asleep knowing her softness is not a burden, it's a gift. The world doesn't need more armor, it needs more hearts like hers. Sleep now, tender one. You are not too much. You are exactly enough. Part 7. The mirror she avoided. There was a time when she couldn't meet her own gaze, not because she didn't care about herself, but because she had forgotten who she was. The mirror wasn't just glass, it became a window to old wounds, to the words that stung long after they were spoken, to the comparisons, the criticisms, the invisible measuring stick she could never seem to meet. She would rush past reflections, avoid photographs, shrink in rooms with bright lights. Somewhere along the way she learned to see herself as a collection of flaws, not a whole. But tonight, we stand beside her. We place a hand gently on her back and say, Look again, love. Slowly this time. See the eyes that have witnessed every season of your becoming. See the mouth that's spoken both pain and truth. See the body that carried you through storms you never thought you'd survive. You are not what they called you. You are not what the world failed to see in you. You are here. You are still becoming, and every piece of you is worthy of kindness. Let the mirror be soft tonight. Let it reflect not judgment, but gentleness. Let it hold you the way you long to be held. Breathe now. Forgive the years you spent avoiding your own light. There is nothing wrong with your reflection, only the story you were told about it. Sleep now, beautiful one. You don't need to hide from yourself anymore. You are seen. You are loved exactly as you are. Part 8. The apology she never got. There are apologies that never arrive. Words we waited for until our hearts gave up whispering hope, not because we stopped caring, but because we grew tired of being unseen. She waited for so long for someone to say, "I'm sorry I hurt you," for someone to notice the way their silence became her shame. But that day never came, and maybe it never will. So tonight, let's give her the apology she deserved. Not from their lips, but from this quiet, sacred space. I'm sorry they didn't protect you. I'm sorry they blamed you for what wasn't yours. I'm sorry they mocked your softness and confused your silence with weakness. You deserve to be loved without having to earn it. You deserved to be safe without having to ask. Let those words settle gently into her chest. Let them reach the corners of her heart that no one ever bothered to touch. Let them warm the bruises she stopped talking about. She doesn't need their apology to heal, because healing was never about them. It was always about returning to herself. Tonight she can let go of the waiting. She can stop rehearsing the speech she never got to give. She can breathe, and in that breath, there is release. In that release, there is peace. Sleep now, sweet soul. You are not broken because they never said sorry. You are whole because you dared to keep living anyway. Part 9. The dream she buried there was once a dream she cradled close. Small, tender, wild with color. She spoke of it with stars in her voice before the world taught her to doubt. It wasn't loud or grand, just hers. Something that made her feel more alive than afraid. But over time the voices got louder. That's not practical. Be realistic. Who do you think you are? So she folded the dream up like an old letter, tucked it away in the quiet corners of herself. Not because she stopped loving it, but because it hurt too much to look. Tonight we visit that place. We brush the dust off memory's drawer, and we say, it's still there. That dream with your name on it. It never stopped glowing. It just waited for you to come back. You don't have to run after it tonight. You don't have to explain it to anyone. Just let yourself remember the warmth it gave you, the way it lit your eyes, the part of you that still believes. Some dreams are not meant to die. They are meant to be planted again. Wiser this time, softer, but just as real. Sleep now, little dreamer. Your dream remembers you, and when you're ready it will rise with you, not as pressure, but as possibility. Part 10. The letter she wrote but never sent. She wrote it one night when the ache was louder than the silence. A letter she never meant to send, not because the words weren't true, but because she knew the person it was meant for would never understand them the way she needed. It began with trembling hands and ended in quiet tears. Pages filled with all the things she never got to say. How much she loved, how deeply it hurt, how long she waited. It wasn't a letter of blame. It was a letter of release, of truth, of the kind of goodbye that doesn't slam the door, but gently closes it with both grace and finality. Tonight, we open that letter together. Not to send it, but to honor the girl who wrote it. The one who chose healing over revenge. The one who chose silence over shouting. The one who chose herself in the end. There is courage in unsent letters. There is closure in speaking the truth, even when no one is listening. So let her words echo softly in this space. I loved as best I could. I waited longer than I should have, but tonight I am done waiting. And that doesn't make me bitter, it makes me free. Sleep now, brave soul. You don't need them to hear you. You just needed to hear yourself, and you did. And that's enough. Part 11. The silence she carried there was a silence she carried like a second skin. Not the kind that soothed, but the kind that swallowed. The silence of things unspoken, of memories too sharp to name, of truths that never found their way out. She learned early that speaking up came with a cost, so she swallowed her pain, bite by bite, until it sat heavy in her chest, a weight she mistook for normal. People praised her calm, her quiet strength. They didn't see the screaming inside. They didn't ask when she forgot how to tell them. But tonight, we listen, not to fill the silence, but to witness it, because inside that silence were stories. 1,000 tiny heartbreaks, laughter she held back tears she hid in bathroom stalls, dreams she abandoned so no one else would have to. So we sit beside her now and we say, you don't have to explain. You don't have to justify the hush. It made sense at the time. You survived the only way you knew how. But tonight, you can set some of it down, even if only for a while. You can let your shoulders soften. You can let your jaw unclench. You can breathe. And in that breath there is room for your voice, for your truth, for the sound of you. Rising. Sleep now, quiet one. Your silence held so much, but you are allowed to make noise, even if it's just the sound of your own heartbeat finally heard. Part 12. The letter she never sent. It sat in a drawer for years, folded neatly, tucked away like a secret. A letter she wrote in the dark, with only the moonlight and memory to guide her pen, that it was never meant to be sent. Not because the words weren't true, but because they were too true, too raw, too vulnerable. It began with a nameless name, then spilled into all the things she never said aloud. How she missed him, how she hated him, how she still dreamed of him, how he broke her in places no one else could reach. She poured her pain into paragraphs, phrases curled like smoke around old scars. And when she was done, she didn't cry. She just folded it, tucked it into a drawer, and went on pretending she didn't remember what she wrote. But tonight, we open it again, gently, not to send it, not to reopen wounds, but to honor the girl who needed to write it. Because sometimes healing begins not with forgiveness, but with finally telling the truth. So here's to the letter she never sent, to the bravery it took to write it, to the ache that found its way into words. You didn't need him to read it, you just needed you to write it, and that's enough. Sleep now, writer of truth. Even your unsent words held power. Even your silence made room for healing. The drawer is still there, but so are you. And tonight, that is everything. Part 13. The day she stopped apologizing, there was a morning quiet, gray and unassuming when she opened her eyes and didn't feel sorry for existing. No thunderclap, no grand announcement, just the steady rhythm of breath in and out, and a thought. Simple but sharp. I don't owe the world an apology for being me. She didn't say it out loud. She didn't have to. It settled into her bones like warmth after a long winter. All her life she had said sorry for everything. For crying, for laughing too loud, for taking up space, for asking questions, for changing her mind. She bowed her head in rooms that didn't deserve her reverence. She shrank to fit places that were never meant for her. But that day, she made herself tea and didn't apologize for the silence. She let the kettle whistle without rushing to quiet it. She took up space at the table, and for once, she didn't fold her arms to shrink. And though no one else noticed, something sacred shifted inside her. Tonight, we honor that moment. The quiet rebellion of choosing wholeness over apology. You don't have to say sorry for healing. You don't have to earn your softness with suffering. You don't have to explain the way your soul expands. Rest now, unapologetic heart. You are not too much. You never were. And tonight, you get to take up all the space you need. Part 14. The mirror and the morning light. She used to avoid mirrors. In the morning, not because of how she looked, but because of what she feared she'd see. A stranger, a tired version of the girl she once was. A collection of pieces that didn't quite fit together anymore. But one morning, she stood still, let the light in, and looked. Really looked in that mirror. She didn't find perfection. She didn't find answers. She found evidence. Of every moment she didn't think she could survive but did. Of laughter lines shaped by joy and sorrow. Of eyes that had seen too much and yet still softened. She reached toward her reflection, not to fix it, but to greet it. Hello, she whispered, and the girl in the glass didn't flinch. She smiled, not because everything was okay, but because she finally saw herself tonight. We honor that reflection, not airbrushed, not polished, but real. You are not a before and after story. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a living, breathing mosaic made of storms, weathered and mornings greeted. Sleep now, beautiful soul. Let the morning mirror hold your truth. You are not broken. You are becoming. Part 15. The story that was always hers. There comes a night quiet, almost still, when she no longer wishes to rewrite the past. Not because it didn't hurt, not because it was fair, but because she finally understands. It shaped her, but it did not define her. All her life, she tried on other stories. Stories that made her smaller, quieter, easier to love. She played roles, wore masks, followed scripts written by someone else's fear. But now, in the hush of her own becoming, she picks up the pen, not to rewrite history, but to reclaim it. This is the part where she says, I am not the girl they misunderstood. I am not the woman they feared. I am not the wound that never closed. I am the writer of my joy, of my boundaries, of my peace tonight. She no longer hides from herself. She no longer waits to be chosen. She already is, by the only person who truly matters. Herself. Sleep now, keeper of your story. You are no longer lost in someone else's tale. You are home, and home was always inside you.